Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above. Over the past 24 hours, the crypto market has been extremely volatile, so we'll be getting into everything you need to know about what to expect next for this market in today's video. I'll be covering some key dates we're moving into with some very important numerology connections and a Gematria decode before I go over the charts of XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum to share the setup for this week as we move into our monthly close of April and into May Day. And I'll definitely be talking about Beltane in today's video. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow our community. And for those of you who are interested in learning how to decode using Gematria and would like to develop the skills so you can read the charts on your own, combining Gematria with technical analysis, or if you're seeking coaching for expanding consciousness, you can visit my website, watersabove.com, and check out my crypto mastermind or my newest expansion mastermind course, available now. The link will be in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below. And with that being said, let's take the clear pill. So in my last video, I spoke about today's date, which is April 27th, being the 117th day of the year. And this ties back to the code of Bitcoin being 117 in this reverse cipher. We are also about 8 days away from the upcoming lunar eclipse on May 5th into May 6th, a full moon eclipse. And today also being the first quarter moon, April 27th, which since the past lunar eclipse we had in November of 2022, the first and third quarter moons have played a role in the crypto market, having a pivot of energy that follows, and in some months, they're even the exact lows we get in the micro cycle. And we saw that happen last month in March on around that time frame of the first quarter moon of March 29th. And I spoke about this in my last video here on YouTube, so feel free to check that out if you want to catch up to speed on this moon cycle concept. But anyways, getting back into this, in my last Red Pill podcast over on Patreon, I spoke about the significance of Bitcoin making its way back into the 29 to 30K territory for a potential micro bull trap. And that's exactly what played out yesterday. You could see right here, Bitcoin essentially shot straight up into $30,000 and then pulled back almost $1,000 in a single trading day, but still closed the day green. And today, even some trading into the mid 29,000 range with a short-term rejection around this 618 local fib pull. So I just have this Fibonacci retracement tool essentially set up from the highs of April 14th down to the swing low that we got on April 24th. And this right now is at a critical territory, being the 0.5 fib. And if we can start getting daily closes above this level, that would look very nice. Essentially just closing above 29,000 today. But I'll be getting more into that when we're at the TA section later in the video. But if you want exclusive content, you could sign up for my Mastermind community membership at patreon.com/watersabove. And every week I release a podcast dedicated to the market where I recap the week and share my thoughts on the upcoming trading week. And I review about 4 to 5 different altcoin projects that my community votes on. In my recent Red Pill podcast, I covered Hex due to popular demand from the Hex community. I also went over Avalanche, Casper, which is another crowd favorite, as well as Polkadot. It was about a 1 hour and 20-minute long podcast covering everything I'm anticipating for this market moving into the upcoming monthly close for April. And that will also be when my next Red Pill podcast comes out this upcoming week. So really looking forward to that. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens in this market between now and then, since we're right in the middle of these two eclipses. And if you were a Patreon supporter and you watched my last Red Pill, you were prepared for that move up into the 29 to 30K territory. So it was just beautiful to watch that play out pretty much all in a single day. So another very important date connection I wanted to share with everyone in today's video is May 1st. And that being Beltane. So we have a couple of important things to talk about with this time frame of May 1st, but I'm going to be breaking it down step by step for you guys. This date of Beltane is connected to the actual Hebrew New Year, Rosh Hashanah, this being September 15th of 2023, the official first day of Rosh Hashanah, and this is the Rosh Hashanah that ends Jubilee, which is a cycle that only comes around every 50 years, meaning the last time we had this 50-year cycle was back in 1973, and that was post-Nixon shock era into what was called the 1973 to 1975 recession. And I talked about this ad nauseum in 2 prior decodes that I released over on Patreon as well. It was called Jubilee Decoded and the Shemitah Decoded. And I was preparing everyone for this year of 2023. And it's been amazing watching this market play out since those prior decodes. And I actually just released 2 decodes as of the last couple of months, the last one being the World Reserve Decoded, all about the month of July, moving into August. And this kind of made me very open-minded to how early June could go, given that in 2016 and in 2019, we saw Bitcoin move up for a automatic rally or some sort of bull trap. It looked very bullish. It was the highs in the cycle, and then it made a lower high, rolled over, and then it went into pretty much another mini bear market before recovery. And that recovery time tends to be perfectly in alignment with Bitcoin's halving event. So there's so many layers that we've been adding here with my work, whether it be the full moon and new moon, the lunar cycle, breaking the lunar cycle down even more into the first and third quarter, talking about it with the idea of eclipses being the most powerful type to expect, and then adding in all this extra information I really feel has solidified how this market truly operates. So we've been tracking along this thus far, and this is a very big connection for the month of May. The fact that it's connected to Rosh Hashanah by 137 days. And if you've been following my work for any amount of time, you know I talk about this number quite a bit because this is the 33rd prime number. 33, the master number of transmutation. And it's amazing how Beltane this year actually has a 49 double-digit date numerology. This 49, of course, being 7 squared, or 7 times 7. And this is pretty much biblical jubilee. When you have 7 cycles of 7 years, or 7 Shemitah cycles, on the 50th year, the following year, which we're in now, is when you practice Jubilee. So it's funny to me how Beltane has the 49, and then naturally that makes May 2nd the 50. So this is perfectly coded in, because if you tie this date with the 50 date numerology over to Rosh Hashanah, the actual date of Rosh Hashanah, which is technically September 16th, that's still that 137 days, of course, that 137 being your 33rd prime number, all tied to Jubilee numbers. And September 16th is also a 23 standard date numerology. Now, esoterically, May 2nd should actually be 3-2 and not 5-2. This is a corruption, it being 5, by the Gregorian system. Of course, all coming back to the Council of Nicaea. So this should actually be your 3rd month in the system. And we talk about this a lot on the channel, but just to get back to this a little bit more esoteric in our decode, this would be 3-2, or you would write it internationally as 2-3 in the 2-2-3 year. And this is connected to the 23 date numerology of Rosh Hashanah, which will end the Hebrew year 5783, which adds up to 23. And this is the year we're calling Jubilee, again, 23 in Chaldean. Pretty amazing how this also connects even deeper to the last day of Rosh Hashanah. That being September 17th, this will be the official last day of Jubilee, connected to May 3rd. And if you think about what I just said about the month of May being the 3rd month, the true 3rd month in the system, that means this is 3-3 or 33, and it's connected to the last day of Rosh Hashanah by 137 days, the 33rd prime number. So you're getting 233 connections across these 2 dates. It's very significant. All right. And to go even deeper into this, September 17th is the day leaving 105 days left in the year. You remove the 0, that gives you the 1-5, basic numerology. And then you have it connected to this day of May 3rd, which has a 15 date numerology. And then the double digit date numerology, which I like to use a lot, is the mirror of that, 51. And of course, when we say the rules of numerology, you could consider reducing more. It's just going to still be the same number. It's going to be the number 6. But just to keep this all kind of flowing nicely, this 51 and 15 ties back to the word moon. You could see that 5115 there. Of course, we have the 23 in Chaldean, just like I showed you before with Jubilee. Of course, you have Bitcoin also giving you the 23. You have the god of fiat money, money created out of thin air, which is Mercury, giving you 23. It's just amazing how this all ties together. But getting back to that 51 and 15 connection, you have this coming back to moon with that 51 and 15. And this is 2 days before the lunar eclipse, again, the full moon, and 2 days after Beltane. So this date is perfectly sandwiched between those two, essentially. And this is all happening during the 18th week of the year. You could see that right there. Week 18 in the Gregorian system being May 1st through May 17th. The only reason I'm saying Gregorian system is because this new year starting in January 1st, whilst in the Hebrew calendar, it's starting with Tishri, so after your Rosh Hashanah date. And that changes every single year because they consider the moon cycle, whilst the Gregorian system doesn't. Gregorian system has 12 moons, while the Hebrew system has 13 moons in a year. Anyways, this is pretty amazing how this is all happening during the 18th week of the year. And since we keep referencing Rosh Hashanah and the Hebrew calendar, you must be aware how important the number 18 is in Judaism. Definitely go look it up. It's fascinating. So to make this even more wild, you have Saturday, May 6th, final day of that lunar eclipse, being an 18 standard date numerology in the 18th week of this year. So you have 2 18s in one single date. And remember what I was saying, how May is the 3rd month. So this would be 3-6. That's 36. That is 18 plus 18. You have your 2 18s, as I showed you before, 18 date numerology in the 18th week, 3-6 as your true date numerology, 36 is 2 18s. These connections are so important because this is the lunar eclipse date, and it's landing on a Saturn day of Saturn. Has a lot to do with Judaism. That is why they practice their 7-year cycle. It comes back to the Sabbath year. Again, Sabbath being Saturday or Saturn day. Shemitah being Sabbath year. And Jubilee being your super cycle, where on your 50th year, you celebrate. So the celebration when it comes to the global financial banking system has not ever really been the most positive thing. But what that means for us, well, we're opportunists here. We feel that blood in the streets and boredom in the markets is the best time to buy. This is why I keep telling people that into September and October this year, at the end of Jubilee, should be some of the best buying opportunities, probably for the next decade. So getting into this again, this is just so important that we're considering everything here. And one more thing to add, and then we're going to move on. This is mind-blowing. So we're talking about the lunar eclipse. Let me just type in lunar eclipse. And you're going to see it has a 54 full reduction. And the day of the lunar eclipse has a 54 date numerology. And also, you see lunar eclipse equals 135 in English ordinal Gematria. And if you connect the lunar eclipse to the official start of the new Hebrew year, September 18th, it will be 135 days. Absolutely wild. So there it is. The 18th week of the year should definitely be packed with excitement. And since May 6th is also the Lizard King of England's coronation, I would not be surprised if there's a ritual during that week. I talked about it several times. I talked about it in 2 Red Pill podcasts ago. So pretty much during the month of April, I've talked about the King's coronation several times. But this 18th week of the year, starting with Beltane and ending with the King's coronation, is a heavy, connection, especially with all this code I exposed today. And this will absolutely affect the market. Now, since Bitcoin only tested 31,000 so far back on April 14th, and there are technical targets to the upside around 39,000 to 40,000, and also since XRP has yet to get to the 60-cent level, it's making me feel that there's one more move left for this market, and the upcoming lunar eclipse can absolutely be a trigger for that volatility into the new moon of May. I've been very open-minded to how the month of May can go, given that in the past 2 iterations of the automatic rally, we see this automatic rally cycle ending in June. You can see right there, June 2019, and right here into this move right here, June 2016, followed by a pullback, pretty long-term consolidation and recovery. So here, June 2019, pullback, we had this black swan event, but generally, if we didn't have that black swan event, we would have looked par for the course. Now, the beautiful thing about this is it seems that when we start off these solar cycles, which would be right around here and right here, we solidify all of our bottoms for Bitcoin before the start of the solar cycle. Now, that even happened back here in 2019. This was the official start of the solar cycle. It went from July 2019 into this moment right here of May 2021. And even with the Black Swan event, this huge crash for the market, we saw Bitcoin hold higher lows. It's very bullish, given that it also recovered within a month, pretty much back into its prior horizontal trading range. Incredibly bullish. So does this mean that the lows that we got on the lunar eclipse back in 2022 for Bitcoin are solidified and that's it? Well, given prior iterations to how this lunar cycle and solar cycle works, that seems to be the case. So that's really solid. That's really important. And the only thing we've yet to see thus far is Bitcoin moving into this golden pocket territory, which I know this chart looks a little messy. I apologize, but it's essentially this 39,000 area. In both iterations of prior automatic rally cycles, we saw Bitcoin actually hit the 786. Now, I don't know if Bitcoin could do that. Remember, we have diminishing returns and diminishing losses over time. Whilst we had a lesser bull run in terms of ROI, we also had less of a pullback, but the timing of everything has been the same. So we see right here in Q4 all-time high, right here in Q4 all-time high, right here in Q4 all-time high. Then you see 1 year later, all-time low. 1 year later, all-time low. 1 year later, all-time low. It's the same over and over again. So this automatic rally thesis is not based on, fairy tales. This is realistic, and it has everything to do with the eclipses. So here we are. We're watching it unfold day by day, and it's pretty beautiful. It would obviously be best if Bitcoin can make it up into this 39K territory, but in the meantime, we just have to kind of be patient to let this unfold. So before we get deep into the TA, go ahead and give this video a like if you haven't already, and spread some love in the comments section. That's what we're all about here. And also, anyone that's signed up to be a Patreon supporter of mine, I really appreciate your support. It means the world to me. It's great to have you in our community. Our community is growing stronger day by day. We have some of the most intelligent minds in the crypto space sharing their analysis in our Discord, sharing their decodes. We're really doing something special there. So if you're looking to be with a community of like-minded people, my Patreon does give access to a private Discord community. It'd be great to have you with us, and I'm really excited to see how this month of May goes. But with that being said, let's actually start out today's TA with XRP, because I did not cover it last week, and I know a lot of people want a quick update. So here we are, we're looking at the XRP chart on the daily. We did in fact get Bart Simpson headed again, another Bart head in the matrix. XRP just loves to do this. You can see it right here. Bart head, Bart head, Bart head, Bart head. Recently, same thing. Now, we're not poking fun. This isn't this is just how this asset likes to move. It's done it all the way back in 2019, 2018 too. You could see a Bart head right here. You could see another right there. You could see another right there. This is just how this asset moves. So identifying this pattern could be ultra helpful for those out there that want to de-risk this asset and play the volatility. So we never made it up to micro candle closes of 54 cents. Now you could go back in my videos, maybe even 2 months ago, before we had this breakout. I know the Bearable Bull started sharing my work a lot in his channel. Shout out to him. I appreciate him for having me on his platform. It was great to be able to connect with the XRP community at large. But I was very, very, very direct when I said we need to have big candle closes above 54 cents. And we were not getting 3-day, 5-day, weekly, bi-weekly, or obviously a monthly close above those levels. So I really wanted to see that kind of solidify, and it never happened. We made it to the spike up to 58, which is kind of funny that it hit 58 cents on March 29th, because naturally XRP equals 58. So I don't know what that really indicates, but the code is pretty beautiful. So we hit the 58 cents. We came down into about 48, a little bit of a bull trap here at 54 again, and then keeling over. Now, what's nice about this rejection and where we're holding right now, we've been trading here for about 1 full week, and this is at the macro 236 fib. So you can see I have a fib pull from this yearly high back in 2 years ago, April 2021, down to the swing low here we got in June 2022, and thus far we have been planting higher low structure. We did get a higher high from this cluster of trading back in October, and thus far we're holding the 236, which is good. We've gotten over the 236, we're holding it now, but I told everyone until we're getting those macro candle closes above 54 cents, no parties for XRP, and that's been the case. So still, the next target is this 382 fib, and I know it might be a little hard to see, but it's 60 cents. I mean, you really kind of want to see trading above the 382 to confirm we have had an automatic rally. So XRP has still yet to have an automatic rally. It had a little bullish breakout, but until it gets above that 60 cent level, no parties. So we're keeping our eyes on this. It's nice that XRP is holding this level because it's a very important technical level. If we started to close below 42 cents, that would be a little bit troubling. But it seems that every time we dip slightly below 44 cents, we get bought back up pretty quickly. So that's good. But in the meantime, that 382 is everything. So let me turn off all of this noise and just look at some of our indicators and see what's going on. So first and foremost, we have this 8 simple moving average right here about to cross below the 55 simple. That is not good. That is a wolf cross with downside implied. So just watch out for this. These two moving averages are squeezing together. At any moment, since we're holding this 55 simple as a support, we could bounce. And let me share a little bit about what could happen on a bounce. We're just going to pull a basic fib, swing high to swing low. We want to get above this 382, which is about 49 cents, closes on the daily, and then we could anticipate a swipe up into this golden pocket range, which would be about 53 cents, and still, ideally, we want a new daily candle closure high, about 55 cents. So there's the analysis in the short term. In regards to downside conditions, it would be closing below this 55 simple, and then you have your 200 exponential on the downside, somewhere around 43 cents. That's a key level. Holding that 200 exponential as a support is very, very important. And actually today, now that I have this on my mind, I made a tweet over to the Hex community to just let them know about this tweet that I shared back in March of 2021, where I shared these upside targets. They came to fruition. Then there was a huge rejection. And again, I wanted to remind them that Hex is now closing below the 200 exponential. So just think about this. I'm sharing the TA on XRP and saying that if we start to close below the 55, the next level to consider is that 200 exponential. Well, when I looked over at Hex today, it's starting to actually close beneath it as of yesterday, and then so far it's gotten rejected off of it. So closing below the 200 exponential daily, not bueno. This is not a good sign. So again, I'm not sharing this to disrupt anyone's bullish bias. I'm really trying to genuinely help. So anyone you like these updates, it's at Waters Above, Twitter tag right there. I'll be sharing as much as I can on the go. But I just wanted to show you the side-by-side example of what doesn't look good compared to the fact that XRP is actually holding these levels. But now let's just hold on for a second and share the truth that XRP did not have an automatic rally so far, whilst Hex did. So Hex had a beautiful Wyckoff cycle. And that was a call that I made essentially in anticipation for us to hit that 10 to 12 cent target. So Hex is outperforming XRP, of course, but I'm just letting you know the technicals piece by piece and how you could compare and contrast it. Hopefully you guys can learn more. So I shared everything on XRP, very thorough analysis. I hope that helps. Now let's get into Bitcoin. We have a couple things going on. First and foremost, let me just turn off these moving averages and show you we have this green trend line. This green trend line was a prior resistance all back through January, rejection here in February, before that harsh dip into March 10th. You guys remember that day is when Silicon Valley Bank failed. Then we popped right above that trend line right here at this moment on March 17th, and we held that as a support all the way until the actual day of the eclipse, the solar eclipse. We traded below it, and now we're actually not able to recover it on daily closes just yet. So I would like to see, I'm not huge on prioritization of trendline analysis, but this trend line has been pretty solid, so keep that in mind. If we can start closing above that, that's also perfectly in alignment with that 0.5 fib that I was talking about earlier in the video. Again, from a swing high to swing low fib pull, and that would be about 29,000. So just keep this in mind. This trend line has definitely been playing a role for crypto, the whole crypto market, for 3 months now, almost going on 100 days. And we had a little bit of a trend line here coming in as a rejection level, which had I want to call this a bullish pennant, and it did break bullish into the 31,000 area. Since we've come back to it and held that level, so I'm going to extend this out a little more and keep this in mind as we make it through to the end of this month. Now, just a couple more things to consider. I would like to look at our EMAs and SMAs, and Bitcoin's looking good. Okay, so it started to trade above the 8 simple just yesterday. That's really nice. And we see that this 55 simple, 200 exponential, 200 simple are all sloping to the upside. Very nice. RSI is above 50. It's about 54 right now on today's daily close. If we can close another green candle, this will flip to about 57. It's looking beautiful. MACD obviously in a recovery phase, and that would be another trigger once we see histogram flip bullish. Let's look if we have any 3-day close. Okay, so we have a 3-day close today. That's really important. 3-day close above that 8 simple. It's very, very important, guys. So consider that. Today's close is important. And then, of course, we have the 5-day closing into the monthly close, which I believe is also a weekly close. Yeah. Okay, so our monthly close is extremely important, and I'll talk about that as much as possible in my next Red Pill podcast, which will be released the day before that monthly close. So it'll be into this closure, and I'll be covering that. So again, any Patreon supporters of mine, patreon.com/watersabove, that is where I'll be sharing all my thorough analysis on that big important closure for the month of April. But as for right now, we have upside targets. Consider that if we can close above 30,600 for Bitcoin, that would send us into the next leg up around 33K. And then on the downside, any closures below this 8 simple, and you can anticipate trading into this 55 simple moving average. I would suspect that holds for right now, mostly because we have a really solid horizontal trading range that's been going on for over 40 days. Trading below this 55 simple, no bueno. That's where you would anticipate us to keel over a little bit more into 25,000. So just keep that in mind. Now we're going to go over to Ethereum and wrap this video up. ETH perfectly testing the 55 simple moving average. So this comes back to what I was just saying a moment ago about Bitcoin. We can see RSI about 48 right now, potentially on today's daily close. We could have two very bullish things happen. One, ETH can be trading above the 8 simple moving average after a back test of the 55 with a bullish bounce. That's really nice. And then of course getting RSI above 50, more in bullish posture. This is looking good. Now just consider the bull trap, the micro bull trap, which would be as simple as pulling a short-term fib, swing high to swing low. We tested the 0.5. That's not great, because if you were to keel over now on new lows, that would look like a dead cat bounce, and that would send you somewhere into 1660. right there at the 200 exponential. But if we're to hold these levels and start closing a daily below this 382, somewhere 1,920, that would anticipate a move into the golden pocket. Now, what I don't like about this move into the golden pocket, about 2,000, is it's into this trend line. So let me just back up and show you the trend line. It's the same idea as Bitcoin's trend line before, except it's a little bit of a different altitude, I suppose. It's sloping up much more steep. Well, that's obvious too, because ETH is an altcoin, it has much more volatility. But needless to say, you saw those fib levels of that golden pocket perfectly corresponding to this trend line, which has been a pretty long-term resistance level, about 3 months of resistance, and we only traded above it for about a week before keeling over into the eclipse. So getting back above it, plus closures above 2130, incredibly bullish. I would say that once you start really holding that 0.5 fib and new closure highs after this back test of the 55 simple, the next level to consider would be somewhere around $2,400. So we're going to leave it at that. There's a lot in this video. It's going to be, packed full of data for you guys to take notes on if you need to rewatch it. So much going on here. I'm looking forward to the next Red Pill podcast this weekend into our monthly close. Again, I appreciate all your support. Wishing you a beautiful rest of your week in the Matrix. Much love.